going, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about just a couple of things before I get to your B-movie review. The big news this week is all about Luke Perry and his death or whatever. They just keep going on and on about him dying. I thought he was a decent actor. I remember him from 90210. I never did watch it, but I'd seen other stuff he'd been in before. I thought he was a decent actor, but I didn't think he was that great. You know, they're kind of hyping it up like he was all that, and he wasn't that good of an actor. He was a decent one for a TV actor. You know, I'm not even. He might have been in a couple movies too. I'm not for sure, but. He was a decent actor. For the most part, he was known for his TV acting. It sucks, you know, he died of a stroke or whatever, but it happens. And then, I heard that they're going to do a, I don't know why they're doing it, but apparently they're going to do another reboot, or you know, they're going to try to start the whole the movie franchise over again, and that's the Resident Evil franchise. They're going to reboot and start from the very beginning. Now they did 6 movies. Here recently, I just got done rewatching all 6 because I heard about the reboot. The story is all pretty much, all 6 movies are pretty much about Alice, which is played by Mila Jovovich. I like her. She's a decent actress. You know, she's fairly easy on the eyes too. So, but yeah, I've always liked her as an actress. She's a good actress. But the movies were good. I thought they were decent, you know, for what they were. Now, when you're playing, when I first started playing the games or whatever. You know, I think I've played 1 through 4. I haven't played any of the others, but I played 1 through 4. And they were mainly about, for the most part, Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield. And then they turned around and they started doing Leon. So, you know, it was kind of surprising when I watched the first movie and it had nothing to do with Jill at all. They didn't show the Jill character till the second movie, which was weird to me because it was mainly about Jill. They didn't show Barry until like the 5th movie, which was weird because he's in the very first game. And then they tried to make Wesker like the bad guy after the 3rd movie, you know, which he was the bad guy in the very first video game too. So a lot of it didn't make any sense. They were mix matching. Paul Anderson's the one who wrote the movies and directed them. He went and mix matched all the stories and tried to make it all about Alice, which it wasn't at all. The video games. That whole Alice thing was a spin-off from the very first few games. So, you know, it kind of confused me. And now the movies were, I liked the movies, they were fine. They just, you know, kind of irritated me that they went and changed up all the story and rewrote everything, you know. But that's Hollywood for you. They won't tell an original story or original idea. They want to change everything, reboot and remake everything 100 times. But I'm kind of hoping with this reboot or this revamping that they go back to the original story and tell it from inside the mansion like the first video game was. Everything happened in the mansion. I think that would be cool, instead of, you know, it being like there's a hive underground, you know, blah blah blah, you know, because that's not what it was in the first video game. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. You know how Hollywood is. They tend to think they need to rewrite everything instead of telling the original story, which made everyone fans to begin with. So let's get on to your B-movie review. This week I am doing, I'd already done Dollman, and then I did Demonic Toys. Now I had to do it that way because the next one is Dollman versus Demonic Toys. So Full Moon Productions, again, known for their cheesy, campy horror comedy flicks, and they've done, you know, horror comedy and you know, sci-fi, a lot of sci-fi. Again, this stars Tim Thomerson, a decent B-movie actor. He's known for all his B-movie roles for the most part. Of course, he's done other stuff, but for the most part, he's known for his B-movies. Tracy Scroggins is in this again. She was the original Demonic Toys. They brought her back. She doesn't play a big role in this one. She's only in it for a little bit. Now, before I begin telling you the story of the movie, know that there's another movie involved. There's a couple more in the Demonic Toys series that I'll eventually get to, I'm sure. But this is the end of the Dollman franchise. They only did a couple of them, which kind of sucks because I like the Dollman ideology, you know, the idea of the story of Dollman. But in between this movie and the Demonic Toys and Dollman, they did a movie. Full Moon did a movie called Bad Channels. However, it was absolutely horrible. I don't know the name of the director who does the movie, but he's a crappy director and movie artist. He sucks. All his movies are really gorific, raunchy, nasty. It's like almost like slapstick comedy horror that he tries to do. He did another a movie called The Visitors or something like that, or Video. I can't remember what the other one was called, but anyway, they're so bad. It's not funny. It's just, you can't watch it. I couldn't stand like 15 minutes of either movie that that other one or this one called Bad Channels. About some this is how retarded it is. It's about some space DJ coming from outer space in an invisible spaceship, and he has this little robotic sidekick, and they come down and they take over a radio station is what it is. They take over a radio station to kidnap a few Earth women and put them in these, shrink them and put them in these little bitty jars to take them back with them. They do it by playing some weird ass rock and roll crap that makes them And they have the whole rock and roll rock sequence, like a rock video that ends up manipulating the women and then getting them to shrink and turn or put them in the jars. It's dumb. It is retarded. So bad. It's a horrible movie. But anyway, this movie, Bad Channels, came before this movie, and it plays a part in the movie because they in the movie Bad Channels, they were able to save and 3 of the women, and they went back to being normal size. But one of them they forgot and they left behind, and she ended up staying small, like an inch tall or whatever. She's in this movie. Okay, so at the very beginning of the movie, Dollman's walking along the highway, and it's like he had heard about this ginger girl, and he thought maybe he could go find her, and she would like to hook up with him because there's no women his size. So the cop from the female cop from the first demonic toys, she's staking out the warehouse, hoping that the demonic toys will show up and cause mayhem again, because everyone thinks from her first episode or whatever, everyone thinks she's nuts talking about these demonic or these toys that come to life and is hurting people. So she's hoping that they'll show up again, and so she's doing a stakeout. Well, this drunk, he breaks into the warehouse through a window, and it's raining. He falls in there, and he's got his body's drinking, and he finds this little tricycle, and he's running around this tricycle. He falls over, and he bumps his head, and it cracks it open, knocks him out, and then the blood seeps onto the floor, gets into the boxes, and causes demonic toys to come back to life. The female cop outside, she naturally feels something's going on, so she runs into the warehouse, thinking that she's going to find them toys come to life again. The warehouse guard this time, instead of being a big fat dude, it's a little midget, and you'll probably recognize him. I can't remember his name, but you see him in quite a few B-rated movies. But anyway, he's a little midget guard, and he calls the cops, and so they send a patrol out there. The toys show up and tell the woman, she can't fight magic without magic, and they get in a little scuffle, and the toys escape through this little like vent shaft for the air or whatever, the air system, and she shoots up in there, and that's when the cops and the midget guard shows up, and they arrest her. She says she's saw a suspect go up in there, and they said, yeah, right, whatever, and they said, you're not even a cop anymore, blah blah blah, everyone thinks you're crazy. So they arrest her, and then it goes to Ginger's house. Ginger, of course, is living in one of her drawers in her kitchen. The drawers popped out, and she pops out and says, "Man, I wish there was just a man my size, blah, 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 you know." Next thing you know, it pans over to the Dollman. He finds this newspaper. He figures out where Ginger's supposed to be at, what town she's in. So he goes to that town, and there's this reporter outside of Ginger's window. And he's claiming he wants an exclusive with her. She's standing on the kitchen counter, and he promises something for her. And she says, "Okay, I'll do it, blah, blah, blah." He's a real sleaze bag, this reporter or whatever. He leaves, and the spider shows up behind her. It's like threatening to kill her. And of course, Dollman shows up and blows away the spider with his gun, his special gun. Then it pans over to the cop, and the cop, she shows up, somehow shows up with the reporter's station or whatever, and says, you did an exclusive on these two, you know, I want to know where they're living at, blah, blah, blah. You know, the only thing I found strange is, how are the, you know, the doll girl, Ginger, you know, how the heck is she taking care of herself? You know, which she still has her house, which is normal size, and she's still, yeah, it made no sense, you know, there's no way she's taking care of herself. But anyways, the cops somehow figures out that the reporter did an exclusive story about the Dollman Ginger, and she wants to know where they're at, and she kind of almost teases him into giving her not the location, but he tells her the town that they're living in. So she goes to find him. Well, it goes back to Dollman Jr., and they're sitting there talking, and basically they share their stories. You know, Dollman relates what happened to him from the Dollman movie, and then Ginger relates to him what happened to her and how she got shrunk in Bad Channels, the movie Bad Channels. They of course get together, and they're like having sex, and the cop shows up in the back door, and and then she sits down with them, and she tells, while they're getting dressed, she tells them her story about the demonic toys and what happened in demonic toys. So as I was saying, the cop shows up and tells her story about what happened to her in demonic toys. The cop convinces Dollman to help her out with the demonic toys this time around, because no one believes her. They all think she's insane. So, of course, Ginger, she's all like, "Oh, wow, that's really believable. Some toys coming to life, blah, blah, blah." And of course, the cop makes the point and says, "Yes, because some girl got shrunk by aliens, and an alien from another planet who just happened to be shrunk when he got here. Also, you two are, you're all super believable too. That's nothing strange." So anyway, Dollman decides to help her out. Uh, so she packs him up in a suitcase and takes off and goes to the warehouse. Well, it shows inside the warehouse that the midget is actually in cohorts with the dolls. The dolls tell him that the master promises him all kinds of stuff. He keeps bringing hookers to sacrifice for the master. He promises to protect the toys. So they've made a deal. When they go inside, the cop takes Dollman and Ginger inside because Ginger insists she has to go with him. So they go inside, and the toys attack. They find him and start to attack him, and then the midget shows up. Well, the cop shoots the midget, kills him, and then the laser robot toy or whatever starts shooting at the cop, female cop, and kills her. And then in turn, Dollman pulls out his gun and blows away the robot. Well, the rest of the toys escape through the ventilation shaft, and the Dollman and the Ginger, follow after him. This commando-looking toy jumps the Dollman, and they start fighting, and Ginger, runs away from the clown toy. So they get separated. Dollman loses his gun. And then, eventually, the toys, the baby, Oopsie Daisy baby, or whatever it was called, knocks out the Dollman and captures Ginger. Okay, so next we got the scene where, baby's talking a bunch of shit to Dollman, and has got him strapped to this toy RC truck, and is going with a rope, has him tied with the rope, and they're going to pull his joints apart. So they rope tied to his feet and to his hands. Ginger's tied to this clock, or a little clock or whatever, and then the baby toy, demonic toy, starts telling them about what happened to them in the first demonic toys, and that they explain who the baby explains who the master is, and that the master needs a new body, so he's using the baby to screw Ginger in creating a new baby, so the master will have a new body. But Ginger somehow loosens her ropes or whatever, grabs one of the hands on the clock, yanks it off, and then cuts the rope to Dollman, and Dollman escapes, and Ginger takes off. The baby goes after Ginger, and then the commando and Dollman have this fight. The commando doll or whatever, G.I. Joe doll, whatever you want to call them, they have this fight. He gets the commando's stick like this. I don't know, he's like a sword or something. It goes into this a socket in the wall and fries him, so that ends him. The Dollman finds his gun and gets it back from underneath, like he dropped it underneath a crate or box or whatever. He's able to dig up underneath it and get it out. Excuse me. And it pans over to this dollhouse, and the baby's in there and got Ginger like with these toy handcuffs tied to the bed. And the baby's telling her that he's at midnight. He's going to poke her. Uh, so the doll man heads over to the dollhouse, and the clown shows up. The Jack in the Box clown. He shoots it in the hand, blows it up, kills the clown. And when he shows up, the baby threatens to kill Ginger, if he don't put his gun down. So Dollman throws down his gun. And then the baby went and made a mistake by telling Ginger that he's going to have the tools to poke her here in a minute. And Ginger says, "Oh, you got the tools," and then knees the baby in the crotch, which makes him let go of her. And then the doll man turns around, grabs his gun, and blows the baby apart. So Brick, which is the doll man, that's his name, Brick. The doll man unties Ginger, or breaks the cuffs or whatever to the bed, and unties Ginger, and then they turn around, call the cops, tell them that the female cop's dead, and then they jump in a taxi at the very end and get a ride home. And that's the end. Like I said, Full Moon is known for their cheesy and campy movies, but I still like them, even though they are cheesy and campy. The acting's not superb, and it's not grade A acting, but it's decent enough. You're able to watch. So if you like movies like this where you're not expecting like a super great movie, it's going to be a little bit cheesy, then this is definitely a movie you'd probably like. It was alright. It had a couple funny parts in it. The baby was kind of funny, but I give it a decent watch. It's alright. Go ahead and watch it if you're into that kind of stuff. You might like it. However, do not watch that movie Bad Channels. It's absolutely terrible. You won't like it, I guarantee it. Now I could find, again, there's some movies that you could find the budget and gross on, but a lot of times when they go straight to DVD, you can't find the whole budget and gross for some reason. It didn't do too bad, far as I know, but I couldn't tell you the budget or gross. I couldn't find it. As before, if you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments below, and I'll try to get around to it as soon as I can, and I'll do a review on it. The next one up is I'm going to continue. That's the end of the Dollman series, so I'm going to continue with the Demonic Toys series and try to get them knocked out. I think there's a couple more. I just here recently watched Demonic Toys 2, so that'll be the next one, and I'll get around to that here pretty soon as well. Anyways, I told you I'd tell you the truth, and you just been told.